Hi, I'm Karen Burke.
It's Aaron Styles.
I'm Karen Thielen.
And again, Sergeant Kronk. How you doing? Go ahead, ma'am.
Imagine being told you were not allowed to join the military and serve your country because you're a man, or because you're a woman, or because of the color of your skin. Imagine being told you're not allowed to buy your house with your husband because you're a woman. Do you think that would fly today? Heck no. There's no way someone's going to tell me I'm not going to be allowed to do something based off of my gender or the color of my skin. There's no way we would let that fly today. However, it is still going on. Discrimination is still going on. I've stood next to my cousin who is a homosexual and watched him be denied many rights just based off of his sexual orientation. And one of those rights that he's been denied is the right to marry. And that's the argument I want to give you today, is why homosexuals should be allowed to marry just the same as I am as a heterosexual woman. I'm going to start off today talking to you about some past discriminations with minorities and women, and then I'm going to go into actually talking about one of the arguments for why homosexuals should not be allowed to marry, how it would rule the institute of marriage, and how this is just an incorrect statement. And then I'm going to go into actually talking to you more about the rights that are actually denied based off the fact that homosexuals are not allowed to technically marry, and the rights that are not given to them because of the fact that are given to us freely as heterosexuals. First, let's talk about some past discrimination. There was once a law that stated that you were not allowed to marry the wrong color. And it was up until 1946 that this law was overturned. The marriages were decreed immoral and unnatural by an overwhelming number of Americans. On OutcastFilms.com, it talks about the history and challenges of these couples, and states that after long battles with this law, it was not until 1967 when the U.S. Supreme Court struck down all remaining interracial marriage laws. Stating that the freedom to marry belongs to all Americans, that marriage is one of our vital personal rights, and the right to marry is essential to the orderly pursuit of happiness by the free. One of the other rights that was taken away, not only from minorities or from interracial couples, was for women. For hundreds of years, even going into the 19th century, once a woman was married, she was given little or no rights. She was not allowed to own property. She wasn't even allowed to keep her name. And in some cases, if her husband were to pass, she were not allowed to keep her children just because she would be a single female mother, which is completely unacceptable. There is no way you would let your kids be taken away from you today. There is no way that I would let my kids be taken away from me, or that I would be told that I have to take my husband's last name if I didn't want to, or that I couldn't own property of my own. There is no way that we as American citizens would allow this to happen. However, discrimination like this is still happening today. It's happening with homosexuals every single day, and it is completely unacceptable. So what's the argument? I don't get it. Why can't homosexuals marry? Why are they being singled out, not being allowed to marry their partner, the person that they want to spend the rest of their life with? From where I stand, there isn't one. It doesn't make any sense. There is nothing about them that makes them less than I am as a heterosexual woman. It amazes me that in the world we live in today, so many major prejudices affect so many Americans, and nothing is being done. According to the Gallup poll, a study done in 5 to 8 May of this year shows that Americans estimate 25% of Americans are gay and lesbian. One of the problems that a lot of people who fight this, one of the problems about homosexuals and the rights they should or should not have is that they're not entitled to them. Again, as I stated, I don't understand why this is an issue, but one of the arguments is that it would ruin the institute of marriage. Now, with this argument, we live in a world where you can get married on TV. You can go on a show called Marry a Millionaire and lie your way to someone's heart to be their soulmate. You can go on a show and date 25 men or 25 women a season, be given a rose at the end, and declare that your love is true and it's meant to be. You can sit in your car and go through a drive-thru and get married. Is that not ruining the institute of marriage? Is that how it's supposed to be? Is that what the institute of marriage is supposed to be all about? But only because you're the same sex or you're opposite sexes, it's allowed. However, someone who is in a committed, loving relationship is not allowed to have that freedom, is not allowed to have that right. Yes, not all homosexuals are in committed relationships. Not all heterosexuals are in committed relationships. I've known plenty of people, straight people, who jump around from relationship to relationship. That has no bearing on anything. There are same-sex couples who have been together for over 40 years, like Stephen Rosinski and Richard Spink of New York. They've been together for 21 years. And Paul Weeks and Greg Weeks from Colorado Springs, they've been together for over 40 years. Both couples are committed to one another, devoted to spending the rest of their days with that person who completes them, have vowed till death do us part, even if their union is not recognized by the United States. Again, like I stated, not all relationships work. Not all relationships work. Things happen, life happens, people pull apart, they grow apart. It happens with everybody. It's not just a homosexual, heterosexual thing. But not affording these individuals the right to legally take their vows is unjust. The Institute of Marriage is going to be upheld by people who go into loving, committed relationships, who vow to be with each other till death do them part, who take that vow seriously. It has nothing to do with your sexual orientation. So you may ask, if you can be together, love each other, why do you need to get married? Well, there are over 1,100 rights that are denied to you, that are automatically given to heterosexual couples. They are denied to you if you are not legally married. According to religiousTolerance.com, there are 5 states that legalize civil unions and register domestic partnerships. However, these are not called marriages, and they deny these same-sex couples who are in civil unions or domestic partnerships, again, these 1,100 federal benefits and obligations. According to marriageequality.org, marriage offers many legal benefits and responsibilities to protect families, such as in times of crisis. Spouses have hospital visitation rights and can make medical decisions in the event of illness or death of their spouse. Now imagine you've been with your partner, your husband, for 21 years, and he goes into the hospital, and then all of a sudden you are denied access to his room. You are not allowed to let the doctor know what kind of care they would want. You are not allowed to let them know how they would want to be treated. That is what homosexuals are going through. Unless you are someone's legal spouse, you are not allowed. All you are doing is sitting in the waiting room waiting. And what's going to happen is their next of kin is going to be notified. What if this is the next of kin you're estranged from? Is that fair? Is it fair that you can be with someone for years of your life, but because the law does not recognize your marriage, you are not allowed to offer medical care for them? Another benefit that is denied, another right that is denied to them is the right to assume parenting rights and responsibilities when children are brought into the family through birth, adoption, surrogacy, or other means. There are 4 states that forbid same-sex couples from adopting the children together. One individual in that couple, in that relationship, is not allowed to legally adopt a child that the other one fathered or gave birth to. No matter how long you have been with your partner, with a child, or no longer how long you have been with your partner or with a child that 2 of you have raised together, since you are not a spouse of this person. You have a very challenging time keeping this child with you. Denying same-sex couples this right because of their relationship is not legally recognized, is not only hurting them, but it is also hurting the child. We've talked about a lot of rights today, and hopefully you've realized that, again, we've talked about 2 of the 1,100 rights that are denied to same-sex couples, that are automatically given to you. I'm a divorced woman, and I can get married to anyone I want tomorrow. The thought of someone telling me that I cannot do that is crushing to me. And it's crushing to thousands of millions of Americans who are being denied this right. Telling them who they can and cannot marry and what laws and regulations are going to be bestowed to them and which ones are not is extremely unfair. So today I've talked to you a little bit about the history, past discriminations that have went on with minorities and with women, and then we looked at the argument of Institute of Marriage. Again, the Institute of Marriage is going to be held true to people who go into it loving one another. That has no bearing on your sexual orientation as well. And then we looked at some of the rights that are being denied: medical care, adoption, child care. These are 2 of the 1,100 benefits that are being denied by people. We as Americans need to become more involved and make a difference. There is nothing that makes me a better person or more entitled, especially my sexual orientation. All members of society should be afforded the same opportunity to get married, have kids, get divorced, and live happily ever after. It's the way of life. Thank you.